My nephew asked me to teach him to drive. The kid was 16, needed his license, and apparently his father, my brother Derek, had the patience of a caffeinated squirrel when it came to teaching. I said yes. It was just driving lessons. How complicated could it be? Then we stopped at a red light on Maple Avenue, and Tyler turned to me with tears in his eyes and asked, "Uncle Rob, is it normal for dads to hit you when you make a mistake while driving?" That one question ended my relationship with my brother forever. Before I go any further, I need to tell you something about myself. My name is Robert Chen. I'm 62 years old. I spent 30 years with the Washington State Patrol before I retired 3 years ago. 30 years of accident scenes, domestic calls, traffic stops where things went sideways. I'd seen just about everything a person could do to another person on the highways and in the homes of this state. I thought I was done with all that. I thought retirement meant fishing, woodworking, maybe finally reading those books, gathering dust on my shelf. I was wrong. The call came on a Tuesday morning in late September. I was in my garage, sanding down a table I'd been building for 2 months. My phone rang. Derek's number. "Rob, hey. Got a favor to ask." I set down the sandpaper. Derek and I weren't close, hadn't been for years. Our father had been a hard man, believed in discipline, structure, the kind of parenting that left marks you couldn't always see. Derek had grown up to be a lot like him. I'd spent my adult life trying not to be. "What do you need?" "Tyler needs to learn to drive. I tried teaching him last week, and we don't work together behind the wheel. Kid's too nervous. You were a patrol officer. You know how to teach this stuff. Can you help him out?" I thought about it for exactly 2 seconds. Tyler was a good kid, quiet, polite. I barely saw him, maybe Christmas and Thanksgiving, but when I did, he was always respectful. A little too quiet, maybe. But I'd chalk that up to teenage awkwardness. "Sure. When do you want to start?" "This weekend? Saturday morning?" "Works for me." Saturday arrived with that crisp autumn air that makes you grateful to live in the Pacific Northwest. Tyler showed up at my house at 9 sharp. He was tall for 16, almost 6 feet, but thin in that gangly way teenagers get right before they fill out. Dark hair like Derek's, but his mother's brown eyes. Sarah had died when Tyler was 12. Cancer. Fast and brutal. I'd gone to the funeral, watched Derek fall apart, watched Tyler stand there, dry-eyed, holding it together because someone had to. "Morning, Uncle Rob." "Morning, Tyler. You ready for this?" He nodded. Didn't quite meet my eyes. I noticed that. 30 years of watching body language. You pick up on things. We climbed into my truck, a 2019 Ford F-150 that I'd bought right after retirement. Tyler adjusted the mirrors, the seat, all the mechanical stuff. His hands shook slightly. Nerves, I figured. "Okay, buddy. Let's start simple. We're going to drive around the neighborhood first. Get you comfortable with the basics. Sound good?" "Yes, sir." He drove like someone defusing a bomb. Overcautious. Hands at perfect 10 and 2. Checked his mirrors every 5 seconds. When we approached the first stop sign, he braked so gradually we basically came to rest through friction and prayer. "Tyler, it's okay to use the brake pedal. You won't break the truck." "Sorry." "Don't apologize. Just drive." We spent an hour like that. Neighborhood streets, stop signs, one very careful left turn. He was improving, loosening up a little. I decided to take him to a real road. "Let's head down to Maple Avenue. Get you some practice with traffic lights and other cars." His knuckles went white on the steering wheel. "Is that safe? I mean, I've only been driving for an hour." "You're doing fine. I'm right here. I've got a brake pedal on my side if we need it." I didn't have a brake pedal on my side. That was a lie, but it seemed to calm him down. Maple Avenue ran through the center of town. 3 lanes each direction, traffic lights every quarter mile, shopping centers on both sides, real driving. Tyler merged on like he was merging onto a highway in a thunderstorm. But he did it. The light ahead turned yellow, then red. He stopped smoothly this time. Better. We sat there at the red light. A Honda Civic to our left, a minivan behind us, normal Tuesday traffic. Then Tyler turned to me, and I saw his eyes were wet. "Uncle Rob, Can I ask you something? Of course. He took a breath. Let it out slowly. Is it normal for dads to hit you when you make a mistake while driving? The question landed like a physical thing. My stomach dropped. The light turned green. Someone behind us honked. Tyler didn't move. Tyler, pull into that parking lot right there. The grocery store. Now. He did. Hands still shaking, parked in a space far from the entrance. Put the truck in park. Stared straight ahead. I took a moment. 30 years. I'd done this 1,000 times. Talked to kids about abuse, documented evidence, made calls to CPS, testified in court, but I'd never done it with my own family. This was my brother's son, my nephew, the kid I'd watched grow up from a distance, assuming everything was fine because I wanted it to be fine. Tyler, look at me. He did. The tears were falling now. When did your father hit you? Last week. When he was teaching me to drive, I stalled the car at an intersection 3 times. He got mad, said I wasn't paying attention. When we got home, Tyler pulled up his left sleeve. Bruises, finger-shaped. Someone had grabbed his arm hard enough to leave marks that had faded to yellow-green. Old bruises. He said it was training, that Grandpa used to do the same to you guys. That it worked. My jaw clenched so hard I thought my teeth might crack. Our father, yeah, he'd done the same. Belt, fists, whatever was handy when we screwed up. Derek had been on the receiving end more than me. I'd learned early to be invisible, to not make mistakes, to be perfect. Derek had never learned that trick. He'd just learned to be angry. Tyler, that's not normal, that's not okay, that's abuse. But Dad says, I don't care what your dad says. Fathers don't hit their kids for making mistakes. They teach them. They have patience. They help them learn. What your dad did is wrong. Tyler broke, shoulders shaking, face in his hands, sobbing in my truck in a grocery store parking lot at 10 in the morning on a Saturday in September. I put my hand on his shoulder, didn't say anything for a while, just let him cry. When he could speak again, he said, Please don't tell him I told you. Please. He'll be so mad. And there it was. The fear. The same fear I'd heard in 1,000 kids over 3 decades. The same fear that had kept me quiet when I was Tyler's age and our father's belt left welts on my back. Tyler, I have to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. How long has this been going on? He wiped his eyes with his sleeve. Since Mom died. Maybe before, but it got worse after. He says I need to toughen up. Be a man. Stop being so soft. 4 years. 4 years of this. Is it just when you make mistakes? Or other times too? Other times. If I talk back, if my grades aren't good enough, if I forget to do chores, he doesn't hit me all the time. Just when he's stressed. Or disappointed. I pulled out my phone. Tyler's eyes went wide. What are you doing? I'm going to take some photos of those bruises. Is it okay if I lift your sleeve? Why? Because I believe you, Tyler. And because what's happening to you is wrong. And because I'm going to help you. He nodded, slowly, like he wasn't sure this was real. I documented the bruises. Both arms. His phone buzzed. He looked at it and went pale. It's Dad. Asking how the lesson's going. Tell him it's going fine. We'll be back in an hour. Tyler typed with shaking fingers. Hit send. Tyler, I need to know. Are there other injuries? Anywhere else he's hurt you? The kid looked out the window. Sometimes my ribs, my back, places people can't see. He's careful about that. Learned it from Grandpa, I think. Jesus Christ. Derek wasn't just continuing what our father did. He'd refined it, made it strategic. When you get home today, I want you to go to your room and take photos of every bruise, every mark. Can you do that? What are you going to do? I looked at my nephew. 16 years old. Should be worried about girls and grades and what college he wanted to attend. Instead, he was sitting in a truck covered in bruises from his own father, terrified of going home. I'm going to stop this. I'm going to make sure you're safe. But he's my dad. I know. But being a father doesn't give someone the right to hurt their kid. Trust me. I've seen this before. More times than I can count. We sat there for another 10 minutes. I asked more questions. Tyler answered them. Each answer made it worse. Derek had rules, impossible rules. Tyler had to maintain a 4 gigapascals or lose dinner privileges. His room had to be spotless, military standard, or he'd lose his phone. If he showed emotion, cried, complained, he was being weak. Weakness got punished. Sarah's death had broken Derek. I'd known that. What I hadn't known was that he'd taken all that grief, all that rage, and poured it into his son. Molded Tyler into something hard and perfect because he couldn't handle the alternative. We drove back to my house. Tyler's driving was worse now. Distracted, unfocused. I didn't correct him. We pulled into my driveway. Derek's Mercedes was parked on the street. He got out as we approached. "How'd he do?" Derek called out. He was smiling. Coach Derek. Everyone in town loved Coach Derek. Led the high school basketball team to state championships 2 years running. Volunteered at the community center. Donated to local charities. Pillar of the community. Did great. Natural talent. We'll do another session next week. Appreciate it, Rob. Come on, Tyler. We've got errands to run. Tyler climbed out of my truck, walked to his father's car, looked back at me once, eyes pleading. Don't say anything. Not yet. I waved. Watched them drive away. Then I went inside, pulled out my laptop, and started typing. I knew the system. 30 years gives you that. I knew who to call, what to say, how to document. But this was different. This was family. This was my brother. The same brother who'd taught me to ride a bike when I was 7. The same brother who'd stood up to our father once, taken a beating so I wouldn't have to. The same brother who'd called me crying when Sarah died, asking how he was supposed to raise a son alone. I pulled up a blank document and started writing. Case notes. Except this time the victim was my nephew, and the perpetrator was my only sibling. Physical abuse observation. September 14th, 10:47 a.m. Subject is minor, age 16. Identified multiple bruises on both upper arms, finger-shaped, consistent with grabbing. Restraint. Bruises in various stages of healing, indicating repeated incidents over time. Subject disclosed physical discipline, including strikes to torso and back, areas typically covered by clothing. Subject reports incidents triggered by perceived failures or mistakes. Pattern suggests systematic abuse disguised as discipline. I typed for 2 hours. Every detail Tyler had told me. Every bruise I'd photographed. Every word that mattered. When I finished, I had 5 pages of documentation that would destroy my brother's life. My phone rang. Isaac, my son, stationed in Japan with the Navy. We talked every Sunday. Today was Saturday. Dad, why are you calling? Everything okay? I need to tell you something. I explained. Everything. Tyler, the bruises, Derek, the pattern. Isaac listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. What are you going to do? I'm going to report him. File with CPS. Get Tyler out of there. Dad, that's your brother. I know. The family's going to lose their minds. I know that too. Another pause. Do it. That kid needs someone who'll stand up for him. Sounds like you're the only one who will. I hung up and pulled up the Washington State CPS online reporting system. I'd used it hundreds of times from the other side, filing reports as a law enforcement officer. Never thought I'd be using it like this. I filled out the form. Child's name, Tyler Chen. Age, 16. Alleged perpetrator, Derek Chen. Father. Type of abuse, physical. Description. Systematic physical discipline including strikes, grabbing, withholding food. Evidence. Photographs. Victim disclosure. Witness observation. My cursor hovered over the submit button. 30 years. I'd filed hundreds of these reports. Thousands, maybe. Each one started an investigation that could tear a family apart. Sometimes it was necessary. Sometimes it saved lives. Sometimes it made things worse. This time, the family being torn apart was mine. I clicked submit. The next morning, Sunday, my phone exploded. Derek called 6 times. Text messages started coming in. Relatives I hadn't heard from in years suddenly had opinions. Derek's voicemail message 3. Rob, what the hell did you do? CPS showed up at my house this morning. They're saying someone reported me for child abuse. Was it you? Did you actually call CPS on your own brother? I didn't call him back. Instead, I called the CPS investigator assigned to the case, Jennifer Martinez. We'd worked together before, years ago, when I was still on patrol. Robert Chen. Been a while. Hi, Jennifer. I'm calling about the Tyler Chen case. I filed the report. I know. I saw your name. This is your family? My nephew. My brother's his father. That complicates things. You know that, right? Defense attorneys love to argue family bias. I know, but I also know what I saw. The bruises are real. The kid's terrified. This has been going on for 4 years. I did the home visit this morning. House is clean. Tyler seemed nervous but wouldn't say much with Dad present. We'll need to interview him separately at school tomorrow. He's scared. He thinks his dad will find out what he said. They always are. We'll handle it gently. But Robert, I have to ask, are you prepared for what comes next? If we substantiate this, it's going to get ugly. Family court, custody battles, the whole thing. I spent 30 years preparing for this. Just never thought it'd be my own family. Monday morning, I got a call from the high school principal. Jennifer had interviewed Tyler during second period. Tyler had confirmed everything, showed more bruises, broke down crying when asked if he felt safe at home. The answer was no. By noon, CPS had filed for emergency custody. By 3 p.m., Derek had hired Thomas fucking Brennan, the most expensive family law attorney in the state. By 6 p.m., I had a voicemail from Derek that I'll never forget. You son of a bitch. You self-righteous, sanctimonious son of a bitch. I'm raising my kid the way we were raised. It worked for us, didn't it? We turned out fine. But no, you had to go and play hero. You had to destroy everything. Tyler is my son, not yours. You'll never see him again. And when I win this case, and I will win, I'm going to make sure everyone knows what you did to this family. I saved the voicemail, evidence of his mindset. That night, Tyler was placed in emergency foster care. Temporary, just until the hearing. I called the foster family to check on him. They said he was quiet, polite, hadn't eaten much dinner, asked if he could call me. I said, of course. Tyler called at 8 p.m. Uncle Rob? Hey, buddy. How are you doing? I'm scared. I don't know these people. I want to go home. My heart broke. I know. I'm sorry. But you're safe there. That's what matters. Dad called. He's really mad. He says you're trying to take me away from him. Tyler, listen to me. I'm not trying to take you away. I'm trying to keep you safe. There's a difference. He says I betrayed him, that I'm weak for talking to you. There it was. Derek, still manipulating, still controlling, even from a distance. You're not weak. You're brave. It takes courage to ask for help. More courage than staying silent. What's going to happen to me? There's going to be a hearing. A judge will decide what's best for you. I'm going to ask for custody. Is that okay with you? Silence. Then, quietly, would I live with you? Yeah, if the judge approves. Okay, I'd like that. We talked for another hour. I didn't tell him about Derek's voicemail. Didn't tell him that half the family had already chosen sides, and most of them weren't on ours. Didn't tell him that his father had put out a statement calling me a vindictive ex-cop with a grudge. I just listened, because that's what Tyler needed. The hearing was set for 3 weeks out, October 9th, Judge Catherine Morrison presiding. In the meantime, CPS conducted their investigation. They interviewed Tyler's teachers, his basketball coach, his friends, neighbors. The picture that emerged was damning. Teachers had noticed Tyler flinching when they moved suddenly near him. The basketball coach, Derek's own assistant, admitted he'd seen Derek grab Tyler roughly during practice, justified it as tough love. A neighbor reported hearing yelling from the Chen house multiple times a week. Another neighbor had seen Tyler sitting on the front porch late at night, in the cold, because he'd been locked out as punishment for missing curfew by 10 minutes. I gathered my own evidence. Pulled Tyler's medical records with signed permission from CPS. Multiple ER visits over the past 4 years. Broken finger. Age 13. Father said he slammed it in a car door. Sprained wrist, age 14. Father said he fell playing basketball. Cracked rib, age 15. Father said he took a bad hit during practice. I'd worked accident reconstruction for 15 years. I knew what injuries looked like when the story didn't match the evidence. These injuries fit a pattern. The pattern was abuse. Derek hired a child psychologist to evaluate Tyler. Dr. Raymond Fletcher. Known for his defense work, his testimony that strict parenting wasn't abuse, that kids needed discipline. I'd seen him in court before. Slick, convincing, dangerous. I hired my own psychologist, Dr. Sarah Kim, specialized in childhood trauma. She interviewed Tyler 3 times. Her report was 18 pages long. The summary read, Tyler Chen exhibits classic signs of long-term physical and emotional abuse, including hypervigilance, emotional suppression, and complex post-traumatic stress disorder. His fear response to perceived failure is consistent with systematic conditioning through violent punishment. Continued contact with the father, without intensive therapy and supervision, represents a significant risk to the minor's psychological and physical well-being. October came with rain. Pacific Northwest autumn. Everything gray and wet. I spent my days preparing, building the case, working with CPS, meeting with my attorney, Linda Johansson. She'd been doing family law for 25 years. She looked at my evidence and said, "This is solid. But your brother's attorney is going to attack your credibility. Your family. You have bias. Be ready for that." I was ready. The night before the hearing, Derek called. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "What do you want, Derek?" "I want to talk. Just you and me. No lawyers. No CPS. Brothers. I don't think that's a good idea. Please. 5 minutes. Meet me at Dad's grave. Tomorrow morning before court, 7 a.m. I should have said no. Should have hung up. But this was Derek. My brother. The person I'd shared a room with for 18 years. The person who'd been there when our father died. When we'd stood at this same grave and promised each other we'd be better men than he was. Okay. 7 a.m. I drove to Evergreen Cemetery as the sun was coming up. Our father's grave was in the old section, near the back. Simple headstone. Thomas Chen, 1942 to 2008. Nothing about loving father or beloved husband. Just the dates. That's all he'd earned. Derek was already there. Looked like he hadn't slept in days. His coach's confidence was gone. He just looked tired. "Thanks for coming." I didn't say anything. Just stood there. "I've been thinking. About everything. About Dad. About what you said Tyler told you. What about it? Do you remember the time Dad broke your arm? You were 12. You'd gotten a B on a math test." I remembered. He'd grabbed me, shook me, thrown me against the wall. Fractured radius. Mom told the ER I'd fallen off my bike. I remember thinking, even then, that it was wrong, that he shouldn't do that. But then he'd say the same thing I say now. This is how you build character. This is how you make men. And part of me believed him. Part of me still does. Derek, let me finish. When Sarah died, I lost it. Completely lost it. Tyler was 12, the same age you were when Dad broke your arm. And I looked at him, and I saw weakness, fear, all the things Dad tried to beat out of us. And I thought, if I don't toughen him up, the world will break him, like it broke Sarah, like it broke me. He was crying now. My brother, the coach, the pillar of the community, crying at our father's grave. So I did to him what Dad did to us. Told myself it was love. Told myself it was preparation. Told myself it was necessary. It's abuse, Derek. It was abuse when Dad did it to us. It's abuse now. I know. He looked at me. I know. I see that now. But I don't know how to stop being this person. I don't know how to be a father without being him. You get help. Therapy. You learn. You work at it every single day. Will you help me? Derek, I can't. I'm fighting for custody of your son. I know. And you should win. Tyler should be with you. I see that now. But after, when I've done the work, when I've fixed myself, will you help me build a relationship with him? The right kind? I looked at my brother, broken, desperate, finally seeing what he'd become. If you do the work, Real work. Years of it. If Tyler wants it, then yeah, I'll help. He nodded. Thank you. We stood there in silence for a while. Two brothers at their father's grave, trying to figure out how to not be him. The courtroom was packed. October 9th, 9 a.m. Judge Catherine Morrison, 60 years old, 20 years on the bench, known for being tough but fair. Derek sat with Thomas Brennan and Dr. Fletcher. I sat with Linda Johansson and Dr. Kim. Tyler sat in a separate room with a court advocate. He'd testify, but in chambers, not in open court. His choice. Derek's side went first. Brennan painted me as a vindictive ex-cop with boundary issues, suggested I was projecting my own childhood trauma onto Tyler's normal discipline, called witnesses who testified that Derek was a great coach, a community leader, a man who'd raised his son alone after a tragedy. Then Dr. Fletcher took the stand, testified that Tyler was a well-adjusted teenager, that strict parenting wasn't abuse, that physical discipline, when used appropriately, was a valid parenting tool, that removing Tyler from his father would cause more harm than good. Linda cross-examined him. Dr. Fletcher, you interviewed Tyler once, correct? Yes, for 2 hours. And in that interview, did Tyler disclose any physical abuse? He mentioned that his father had struck him on occasion. I wouldn't characterize it as abuse. What would you characterize broken ribs as, doctor? Accidents happen, especially with active teenage boys. 3 separate ER visits in 4 years, all with injuries that the treating physicians noted as inconsistent with the reported causes. That seems like a lot of accidents. Children are accident-prone, or fathers are violent, Brennan objected. Judge Morrison sustained it, but the point was made. Then it was our turn. We called Tyler's teachers, his basketball coach, who reluctantly admitted he'd seen concerning behavior from Derek, the neighbor who'd heard the yelling, the ER doctor who'd treated the broken rib and had noted his suspicions in the medical record, but never reported because he couldn't prove anything. Then Dr. Kim testified, walked through Tyler's evaluation, described his trauma symptoms, his fear responses, the way he'd flinched when she'd moved to hand him a tissue, the nightmares he'd been having in foster care. Dr. Kim, in your professional opinion, has Tyler been abused? Yes, systematically. Over a period of years, the evidence is overwhelming. And, in your professional opinion, should he be returned to his father's custody? Absolutely not. Not without years of therapy for both father and son. And even then, only with supervised visitation. This child needs safety and stability. He needs to learn that love doesn't come with violence attached. Then Tyler testified. In chambers. Just him, the judge, both attorneys, me, Derek, and the court reporter. Tyler sat in a chair that was too big for him. Judge Morrison spoke gently. Tyler, I know this is hard, but I need to ask you some questions. You can take your time answering. If you need a break, just tell me. Okay? Okay. Tell me about your relationship with your father. Tyler looked at his hands. I love my dad, but I'm scared of him. What are you scared of? Making mistakes. Disappointing him. When I mess up, he hits me. Sometimes it's just once. Sometimes it's more. And I never know which it's going to be. Can you give me an example? Tyler described the driving incident. The stalled car. Derek's anger. The bruises on his arm. Then he described another incident. A failed history test. Derek had made him stand in the corner for 4 hours without food or water. Another incident. Forgetting to take out the trash. Derek had taken his bedroom door off the hinges for a month. Said privacy was a privilege, not a right. Judge Morrison listened. Her expression never changed, but I saw her knuckles whiten as she gripped her pen. Tyler, where do you want to live? He looked at Derek, then at me, with Uncle Rob. If that's okay, I love Dad, but I can't live with him anymore. I'm too afraid. Derek made a sound, half sob, half gasp. He stood up suddenly. Brennan grabbed his arm, tried to pull him down, but Derek shook him off. Tyler, son, please. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I was trying to make you strong, like Grandpa did with us. I didn't know another way. Dad, Grandpa was wrong, And you're wrong too. Derek collapsed back into his chair, buried his face in his hands. The cross-examination was brief. Brennan tried to suggest that Tyler had been coached, that CPS had manipulated him, but Tyler held firm. Simple, honest, devastating. After Tyler left, Judge Morrison called a recess, said she'd have a decision by end of day. We waited in the courthouse cafeteria. Terrible coffee, stale sandwiches. Linda tried to prepare me. It could go either way. The evidence is strong, but he's still the biological father. Judges bend over backwards to keep kids with parents. I know. 4 p.m. We were called back. Judge Morrison looked tired. I've reviewed all the evidence, heard all the testimony. This is a difficult case. Derek Chen is Tyler's father. By all accounts, outside this courtroom, he's a respected member of the community. But this courtroom is where the truth comes out. And the truth is that Derek Chen has been physically abusing his son for years. Disguising it as discipline doesn't change what it is. Derek's head dropped. I'm terminating Derek Chen's custody rights, effective immediately. Pending completion of court-ordered therapy and parenting classes, we will revisit supervised visitation in 1 year. Until then, there will be no contact. Brennan stood up. Your Honor, that's excessive. My client. Your client systematically beat his son for 4 years. In my courtroom, that's not excessive. That's the bare minimum to keep that child safe. Robert Chen, I'm granting you full legal custody of Tyler Chen. CPS will monitor for 6 months to ensure proper care. Mr. Chen Derek, you have an opportunity here to break the cycle, to become a better man than your father. I suggest you take it. She banged her gavel. Court adjourned. I walked out into the October rain. Linda shook my hand, said she'd file the paperwork tomorrow. I called Tyler's foster family, asked them to tell Tyler, heard him crying in the background. Relief or grief or both. Derek and I made eye contact across the courthouse steps. He nodded once, then got into Brennan's car and drove away. That night, I picked Tyler up from foster care. He had one backpack of belongings. Everything else was still at Derek's house. We drove to my place in silence. You hungry? I asked. Yeah, I guess. I made spaghetti. Simple. Tyler ate 3 plates. Then he helped with dishes. We didn't talk much. What was there to say? Uncle Rob? Yeah? Thank you. You don't have to thank me. Yes, I do. You're the only one who believed me. He went to the guest room, my son Isaac's old room. I'd put fresh sheets on the bed, new towels in the bathroom, tried to make it feel welcoming. I heard Tyler moving around, then silence. I checked on him an hour later. He was asleep on top of the covers, fully dressed, clutching his backpack, like he thought he might have to run in the middle of the night. I pulled a blanket over him, turned off the light, went back downstairs and pulled out a notebook. Started writing. Tyler's first night, October 9th, seemed okay. Ate well, quiet, sleeping fully dressed, possible signs of hypervigilance. Will monitor. I'd kept notes for 30 years. Never thought I'd be keeping them about my own family. The next 6 months were hard. Tyler had nightmares 3 or 4 times a week. I'd wake up to him screaming, go to his room, find him shaking. Sometimes he knew where he was. Sometimes he thought he was back at Derek's. He started therapy with Dr. Kim twice a week. Slowly, things got better. He started sleeping in pajamas instead of clothes. Started eating breakfast without asking permission first. Started laughing at stupid jokes. Derek completed his court-ordered therapy. Anger management. Parenting classes. Individual counseling 3 times a week. His therapist, Dr. Helen Martinez, sent reports every month. Slowly, the reports changed. From defensive and resistant to engaging with the process to demonstrating genuine insight. After 1 year, Judge Morrison granted supervised visitation, 1 hour every other week, at a family visitation center, a court monitor in the room at all times. I drove Tyler to the first visit. He was nervous. Hadn't seen his father in a year. What if he's mad? He's not going to be mad. He's been working really hard to be better. But if at any point you feel unsafe, you tell the monitor. They'll end the visit immediately. Okay? Okay. Derek was already there when we arrived. He looked different. Thinner, older. The arrogance was gone. He stood up when Tyler entered. Hi, son. Hi, Dad. They sat across from each other. An awkward table between them. The monitor, a woman named Stacy, sat in the corner with a clipboard. I waited in the lobby. 57 minutes later, Tyler emerged. His eyes were red. You okay? Yeah. He apologized. Like, really apologized. Said he was wrong, that he was sick, that he's getting help, that he doesn't expect me to forgive him, but he hopes someday I will. How do you feel about that? I don't know. I'm not ready to forgive him, but I'm glad he's trying. The visits continued. Slowly, Tyler and Derek rebuilt something. Not the old relationship. That was gone, destroyed by years of violence. But something new, tentative, careful, built on honesty instead of fear. It's been 3 years now. Tyler's 19. In college. Engineering major. Doing well. Still in therapy, but down to once a month. He sees Derek twice a month now. No monitor anymore. They go to dinner, talk. Derek doesn't give advice. Doesn't try to parent. Just tries to be present, to listen, to learn. I'm 65 now. Tyler still lives with me when he's home from school. His bedroom is his bedroom, not a guest room. Photos on the walls. His basketball trophies on the shelf. A home. Last week, Derek called. Rob, I want to thank you. For what? For saving my son. For saving me. I would have killed him eventually. Maybe not literally, but emotionally. Spiritually. I would have destroyed him. You stopped me. You stopped yourself. You did the work. We both know I didn't have a choice. You gave me one. Prison or change. I chose change. I'm glad you did. Me too. We don't talk often, Derek and I, maybe twice a year. But when we do, it's honest. No more pretending. No more hiding. Just two brothers trying to be better than the man who raised us. Tyler asked me last month if he could take Derek to his college graduation next year. Of course. He's your father. You're my father too. In the ways that matter. I didn't know what to say to that. Still don't. If you're watching this and you see yourself in Tyler's story, please know this. It's not your fault. You deserve safety. You deserve kindness. You deserve a home where mistakes don't come with violence attached. And if you're watching this and you see yourself in Derek's story, please know this too. You can change. It's hard. It takes years. It requires complete honesty with yourself about what you've done and why. But you can change. You can break the cycle. And if you're watching this and you see yourself in my story, if you suspect a child is being hurt, I'm asking you, don't wait. Don't hope it gets better. Document what you see. Report what you know. Stand up, even if it costs you everything, even if it's family, especially if it's family. Because sometimes the people who love us the most are the ones who hurt us the most, and sometimes the only way to save them is to stop them. Thank you for watching. If you found this story helpful, please like and subscribe. And in the comments, tell me, what time is it where you are right now? I read every single comment. Next week, I'll share another story. Until then, take care of yourselves and take care of each other.